If there was a key to living in peace while the world spins in chaos, would you take it? Let's be honest. These days, it feels like everyone's watching us. We're told how to look, what to say, how to succeed, and worst of all, how to feel. Social media tells us to always be on. Family expects us to follow tradition, and friends, well-meaning as they are, can pressure us to be someone we're not. But what if the path to peace doesn't come from doing more, being more, or pleasing everyone? What if it actually comes from doing less and being still? In today's video, I want to invite you to explore a different kind of wisdom. One that's not about chasing goals or comparing timelines, but about turning inward, gently, honestly, and consistently. It's a philosophy rooted in Buddhist thought, but filtered through real, modern experience. Not from the mountaintop, but from the living room, the workplace, the moments of stress and silence we all face. We're going to dive into 9 powerful lessons that have helped me, and many others, step back from the noise and reconnect with something deeper. These aren't rigid rules. They're reminders, gentle nudges toward freedom. And they begin not with trying to change the world, but with learning how to sit still in our own. So if you've been feeling stretched thin, pulled in too many directions, or just tired of being not enough, this video is for you. Let's take a deep breath together and begin. 1. True happiness isn't given to you, it's grown within you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt completely happy, only to lose that feeling the moment someone disappointed you? Maybe your partner didn't text back. Maybe your boss didn't notice your effort. Maybe your friend canceled plans and you felt oddly empty. That used to happen to me all the time. I thought happiness was something I could receive from attention, praise, success. And sure, those things feel good, but they're not reliable. People are human. Circumstances change. And when my joy was tied to those things, it would always disappear just as quickly as it came. Then I stumbled across a Buddhist concept that shifted everything. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. At first I thought, okay, that sounds nice on a pillow. But then I tried it. I started noticing how I was outsourcing my happiness to everyone but myself. I depended on compliments to feel confident. I needed a perfect morning to feel at peace. And worst of all, I needed everything outside of me to align perfectly before I could just breathe. So I flipped the script. Instead of chasing peace, I started creating it. Each morning, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. I stopped checking my phone the moment I woke up. I made space for silence, not to be productive, but to just be. And slowly, things changed. I no longer felt knocked down when people let me down. I didn't crumble when someone disapproved, because I had built a little sanctuary inside me, something no one else could touch. Buddhism doesn't promise us a life free of pain, but it does offer us a compass, one that points inward, not outward. And when you stop depending on others to feel whole, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power, you smile without a reason, you feel calm in chaos. You're not waiting for someone to hand you peace, you've grown it with care from the inside out. So ask yourself this: what if your happiness didn't need permission? Let's move to the next lesson and explore the hidden strength in being alone. 2. Aloneness is not emptiness, it's where you meet yourself. Let's be honest, most of us were never taught how to be alone. In fact, we're often told that being alone means something's wrong. No calls, no invites, no texts. Must mean you're unwanted, right? But that's not the truth. There was a time in my life when silence made me uncomfortable. If I had a free evening, I'd immediately scroll, binge, call someone, anything to avoid being alone with my own thoughts. I wasn't avoiding people, I was avoiding myself. But here's what I learned. Solitude isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of clarity. Buddhist teachings say, meditate, live purely, be quiet, do your work with mastery. At first glance, it sounds like a monk's to-do list, but it's actually a powerful formula for peace. When we step away from noise and distraction, we finally hear what's underneath it all. Our true voice, our buried feelings. Our quiet intuition, that stillness, it's not empty, it's full of answers we've been too busy to hear. These days, I protect my alone time. I sit in silence, not to escape others, but to reconnect with me. It's where I reflect, reset, and rebuild. And surprisingly, when you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop feeling lonely, even when you're by yourself. So if solitude scares you, try leaning in, just for a moment. You might discover that the person you've been waiting for, The one to understand you, calm you, guide you, has been quietly waiting inside you all along. 3. You don't need everyone's approval, just your own. Let's face it, we all want to be liked. It feels good when someone says, "You did a great job," or "I'm proud of you." But here's the catch. When we rely too much on approval from others, we give away something priceless, our own self-worth. I used to chase compliments like they were oxygen. I'd second-guess my outfit, my ideas, even my personality, just to make sure I was acceptable. If someone didn't smile at me, I'd wonder what I did wrong. If I posted something and didn't get enough likes, I'd delete it. It was exhausting. Then I heard a simple teaching that hit me hard. You, yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. Read that again. It changed the way I looked at myself. Instead of waiting for someone to validate me, I started asking, do I approve of myself? Am I proud of how I showed up today? Did I act with honesty, kindness, and courage? Giving yourself that kind of approval isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And here's the thing, the more you affirm yourself, the less you need others to do it for you. You become steadier, stronger, kinder to yourself. And ironically, people are drawn to that kind of grounded confidence. So next time you find yourself shrinking for the sake of fitting in, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself you don't need to be everyone's cup of tea. You just need to be your own. For rejection isn't the end, it's redirection. Have you ever been turned down for something you really wanted? A job, a relationship, a dream opportunity? That sting of rejection, it's real. And if we're not careful, it can start to feel like proof that we're not good enough. I've been there. I once poured my heart into a creative project, and when I finally shared it with someone I admired, they brushed it off. No feedback. No encouragement, just silence. For days, I spiraled, questioning everything about myself. But over time, I began to see that rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy. Sometimes it's the universe gently saying, not this door. Try another. Buddhist wisdom reminds us. In the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. That word, gracefully, has stayed with me. Letting go doesn't have to mean giving up. It can mean trusting that there's something better ahead. That closed doors are just redirections, not dead ends. In hindsight, every no I've received has led me to something more aligned, more honest, more me. And the pain, it taught me resilience, compassion, patience. So the next time you're facing rejection, don't shrink, don't fight it, just breathe, step back, and ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? You might find that rejection isn't blocking your path, it's clearing it. 5, they're not thinking about you as much as you think. Ever walk into a room and suddenly wonder, are they judging me? Maybe your shirt feels too tight, your hair's out of place, or you stumbled over your words, and now you're convinced everyone noticed. But here's a truth that changed my life. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to be thinking about you. Seriously. We're all wrapped up in our own worries, insecurities, to-do lists, and little dramas. The same way you might be obsessing over how you sounded in that conversation, guess what? So is the other person. There was a time when I lived in fear of being judged. I'd rehearse what to say before a meeting. I'd overthink every text I sent. But once I realized how self-focused we all are, I finally felt free. Buddhism teaches, let none find fault with others, let one see one's own acts done and undone. In other words, stop scanning the room for approval or criticism. Turn inward. Focus on your own growth, not other people's assumptions. Because the truth is, most of the time, no one's thinking about your awkward moment. They're thinking about their own, and that's incredibly liberating. So next time your mind starts spinning, did I sound stupid? Did they notice my mistake? Pause, remind yourself. Everyone's just trying to make it through their day, just like you. And if that's the case, why not give yourself permission to be real, flawed, and wonderfully human? 6. Stop pleasing everyone, it's costing you your peace. Have you ever said yes when your whole body was screaming no? Stayed late, agreed to plans, smiled through something you didn't want to do, just to avoid disappointing someone? Yeah. Me too. For years I thought being kind meant always being available. I didn't want to seem selfish or difficult. So I kept giving, my time, my energy, my boundaries, until there was nothing left for me. And what did I get in return? Burnout, resentment, a quiet, aching disconnect from myself. Then I read this Buddhist insight. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. And I realized saying yes to everyone else while saying no to yourself isn't kindness, it's self-abandonment. We can be compassionate and clear, generous and grounded. Saying no doesn't make you unkind, it makes you honest. And when your actions come from truth, they carry more meaning. I started small, saying, "Let me think about it," instead of instantly agreeing, leaving space between request and response, listening to how my body reacted when I felt pressured. And over time, I reclaimed something I didn't even know I had lost, my peace. Because peace isn't loud, it doesn't demand applause, but it's powerful. It allows you to give from a full heart instead of an empty one. So the next time you feel torn between pleasing others and protecting your well-being, pause. Ask yourself, is this kindness or self-sacrifice? Your peace is worth protecting. Always, 7, you can't control everything, but you can master yourself. Let's be real, we all want things to go our way. We want people to treat us fairly, plans to unfold perfectly, and life to follow the script we wrote in our heads. But how often does that actually happen? Spoiler alert, not often. I used to get upset when things didn't go according to plan. A delayed flight, a canceled appointment, a misunderstanding, it could ruin my whole day. But what I was really trying to do was control the uncontrollable. That's when I came across this Buddhist reminder: rule your mind, or it will rule you. That hit me like a truth bomb. We can't control the weather, other people's moods, or life's curveballs, but we can control how we respond. And that's where our real power lies, not in the world outside us, but in the world within us. So I started paying attention. Instead of reacting, I paused. Instead of blaming, I reflected. And slowly, I noticed a shift. I felt less like a victim of circumstances and more like the steady center in the middle of a storm. And here's the thing, when you stop trying to control everything, you free up energy. You stop wrestling with what you can't fix and start focusing on what you can: your breath, your mindset, your choices. Life won't always go your way. People won't always act how you expect. But your inner peace, that's yours to protect. So the next time life throws a curveball, ask yourself, what part of this is mine to carry? Then gently set the rest down. 8. Most people aren't judging you, they're just trying to survive. You know that awkward moment when you trip a little in public, or stumble over your words during a meeting, and suddenly you feel like everyone saw it. Truth is, they probably didn't, and even if they did, they forgot about it 5 seconds later. Here's something that genuinely changed how I walk through the world. People aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. It's not because they don't care, it's because they're too busy thinking about themselves. Their bills, their insecurities, their to-do lists, their own version of "did I sound stupid just now?" We live in our own mental bubbles. And once you realize that, you can finally breathe. Buddhism teaches, your work is to discover your world and then with all your heart give yourself to it. That means your job isn't to manage how others see you. It's to stay present on your own path. The more energy you pour into worrying what others think, the less energy you have to actually live. I used to constantly edit myself, my words, my style, even my laugh, because I thought people were judging. But the moment I let that go, I felt lighter, more me. And ironically, people seem to connect with me more when I stopped performing. So next time you feel that anxiety creep in, are they watching me, judging me? Remember, they're likely too busy wrestling with their own doubts. Let them live their story. You live yours with your head high and your heart open. 9. Stop comparing. Your journey is yours alone. It's so easy to fall into the trap. You scroll through social media and see someone's perfect vacation, their toned body, their shiny job promotion, and suddenly your life feels small, like you're falling behind in a race you didn't even know you entered. I've been there. But here's what I've learned. Comparison is the thief of peace. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, and faithfulness the best relationship. Notice that. It doesn't say achievement or popularity. It says contentment, because the truth is, happiness isn't about being ahead of someone else, it's about being aligned with yourself. I used to compare everything, my progress, my looks, even my inner growth. But that mindset only made me bitter. I was measuring my path using someone else's map. And I couldn't see how far I'd come because I was too focused on where I was. So I stopped asking, why am I not like them? And started asking, am I becoming more me? Everyone's journey is different. We all have unique lessons, timelines, and turns. And just because someone else is blooming doesn't mean you're behind. It just means your season is different. The moment you let go of comparison, you create space for gratitude. You start noticing the beauty of your own life, the little wins, the quiet strength, the progress no one sees. So next time you catch yourself measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, pause and remember, your journey was never meant to be a copy. It was meant to be yours. 10. Grow within first, everything else will follow. In a world obsessed with outward success, it's easy to believe that our worth is measured by what others see. Our job title, our relationship status, our follower count. But here's the truth I've come to learn. The most important growth you'll ever experience is the kind no one else can see. Buddhism teaches, the mind is everything, what you think you become. That's not just philosophy, it's a roadmap. When you focus on inner growth, everything else begins to shift. Your choices become clearer. Your relationships deepen. You start showing up with more honesty, more patience, more purpose. I used to think that if I just worked harder or looked better or proved myself, I'd finally feel enough. But it was only when I turned inward, facing the parts of myself I'd ignored, that I found something far more lasting. Self-respect. Inner growth means asking hard questions, sitting with discomfort, choosing patience over ego. And yes, it's quieter than external praise, but it's also more powerful because it's yours. No one can take it from you. And ironically, the more you grow inside, the more your outer world improves too. Not because you're chasing approval, but because you're radiating truth. So if you're tired of performing, of chasing, of waiting for someone else to tell you who you are, stop. Look within, that's where your real life begins. Because when you become rooted in your own growth, storms may come, but you won't be shaken. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to return to yourself. The wisdom of Buddhism isn't about escaping life. It's about living it with more clarity, intention, and peace. When you stop chasing the world and start nurturing your inner life, you'll find the freedom you've been seeking all along. So take a breath, be still, and remember, everything you need is already within you. If this message spoke to you, I'd love for you to like, share, or subscribe. Our journey inward continues together.